welcome to our 12th webinar here at Glew. Tips and tricks to make the most out of your Black Friday, Cyber Monday as a merchant via using your data. We're switching things up today. Normally, it's me and Abby, who's our VP of Marketing. You can't see her. Say hi, Abby.
Hi, everyone. I'm off camera today.
There she is. We're actually joined by two of my colleagues. This is Chris and this is Lindsay. And Chris and Lindsay, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah.
Ladies first.
Hi, guys. I'm Lindsay. I'm one of our VPs of sales here at Glew. A sweet spot for any of the recharge customers on subscriptions. So I've worked with a ton of you, and if you're new to Glew and you don't currently subscribe to us, I'd be happy to help you talk about your numbers, but as it relates to Black Friday, Cyber Monday for recharge. Want to chat? Let me know.
I'm Chris, one of our EVP of sales. Been with Glew a couple of years. I really like customer segmentation and also creating some reports inside of Glew.
Heck yeah. My name is Mark. I'm also one of our EVP of sales, and we're excited to get started. We're going to be reading some questions that we got from our customers over the years, and some we've gotten internally ourselves here at Glew to think more critically. Abby is going to be the one reading them to us, and we'll be fielding them appropriately for the next 30 to 45 minutes.
Cool. Yeah, like Mark mentioned, we're going to be going through some questions that you guys submitted and some that we've just received, from our clients over the past couple weeks and months. So we'll go ahead and get right in. First question is, what are the most important metrics to be tracking going into the holidays and during the holiday rush? And what's the best way to pull key insights out of all the data that you'll be taking in?
I mentioned that we're kind of biased here. We recommend using Glew to pull your insights because doing it otherwise is extremely expensive and painful. But regardless of how you do it, you're going to want to do it in a couple of ways. The first way that you're going to want to do it is you're first going to take a look at the holiday season of last year. There's your store is rich with data, and you're going to want to make sure that you're benchmarking your progress in terms of what you should expect to achieve this year juxtaposed to last year. In my opinion, you're probably going to want to see at least 20% growth, hopefully 30 or 40% growth, depending on how successful you are as a business. But nonetheless, that's super important. I think once you are comparing period over period, or year over year in that function, you're going to want to make sure that you are tracking your gifters and your non-gifters, right? There's a lot of money to be made when it comes to attracting new customers that wouldn't otherwise buy from you because they're buying for family and friends during the holiday season. But at the same time, there's also going to be a lot of money to be made by attracting the right customer, i.e. the potentially highest paying customers for your store, and keeping them after the holiday season is over. So what you might want to think about is your funnel. How many zero purchase customers have you acquired in the holiday season last year versus this year? We want to see a gigantic uptick in that. We then want to make sure that we're converting those customers into cash, at least initially, if they're gifts or non-gifters, regardless. And then we're going to see how many we want of those people to stick around long-term, which Glew clearly outlines for you with our vast array of KPIs. You guys have anything to add?
I think you got it.
Wow. Thanks.
Good start.
Appreciate it.
Cool. Next question. Knowing that this can vary by industry and business model, what are some of the key data indicators that merchants should be on the lookout for during the holiday season to make sure that everything they have running is working as expected, or on the flip side, to let them know if something is off?
I think Mark just answered part of that. Being able to track your year-over-year growth, it's super simple in Glew. If you've ever played around on the highlights tab, being able to look at last year's November to December and then seeing that trending line of the previous year next to it, that's definitely one I would recommend getting set up. The other one I would pay attention to, and not everybody always goes down into the orders discount code section of the app, but it is a pretty powerful one, especially around the holidays. So paying attention to one of our calculations, the attachment rate of discount codes, is super important. If you're, for example, in the beauty space and discount codes are typically attached anywhere from 25, 40%, well, then even during the holiday season, when you're increasing the promotions, you still want to have that same 25 to 40% attachment rate, meaning out of all of the orders that you have in that period of time, 25% have some sort of discount associated with them. So making sure that your attachment rate stays true, even with the increase of discounts or promotions themselves that you're running. And then the last one, I think we've talked a little bit about on a previous webinar, is the bell curve of your customer base. So if you were to put all of your customers spread out and look at maybe the top 10% of your customers, those VIPs, the most important ones for the holiday season, I'd say too, even when you see this huge influx of new customers coming in, you still want to make sure that 10% of your revenue or 30% of your revenue is coming from your 10% top customers. The opposite would be your value shoppers. When you have all of these customers coming in, you only want about 10, 20% of your customers buying in that value space out of all of your customers. So I think we've gone over this a few times on different webinars, but because you have an influx of customers, also making sure that those percentages, the chunk of your value, the chunk of your VIPs stays true with like a ton, thousands and thousands of orders that hopefully you guys have coming in.
Yeah, that's a good point. On top of that, what you might expect is you might see it drop in both ways. So with the influx of so many new customers that you wouldn't otherwise have because of the gift side, you might actually see that instead of 30% of your annual revenue coming from the top 10% of your customer base, which should happen when you look back over a 1-year time frame, you might actually see that come down a little bit, right? Because you have such a large amount of maybe one-time buyers who are buying for their loved ones or friends. Same thing with value shoppers. You might be okay, in the short term in the holiday season, seeing your value shopper percentage, which again is people who only buy at a discount, go up a little bit. Maybe if it was at 20%, it might jump up to 25, maybe even 27% as people are using those discount codes for their first purchase. But then to Lindsay's point, when it comes to Q1, it comes to Q2, they're going to want to see those go back to where they were originally, because hopefully the value shoppers come back and buy again at full price because their loved one or maybe loved it, or maybe they even spoiled themselves by buying the gift for themselves as they buy it for their loved one. And maybe the value shopper goes back to normal for the same reason. But totally agree with Lindsay in terms of what you're looking for. Should be consistent both in the holiday season as well as the rest of the year.
Cool. While we're on the topic of discounts, how do you decide what products to discount or promote during the holidays?
Ooh, I like this one. I don't know. We can all talk about it.
I'm going to say one thing quick on it. If you are keeping track of inventory inside of your shopping cart and that data is inside of Glew, maybe look at some products that maybe you aren't moving and consider discounting those.
Like a low sell-through rate.
Yeah.
Or a high holding cost, right?
Normally, I do a lot of online shopping myself, as I'm sure a lot of you guys do, but normally I will check out the sales section. I'm like, not really my thing. Typically during the season, it's things that haven't sold as much that you're trying to get rid of, right? But come the holiday season, I think because you've got such a perfect window of opportunity to acquire higher valued customers, I think if I were you, I would try to find out what your highest lifetime valued products are. That's really simple in Glew. You can rank them by lifetime value. Promote those earlier on, because it might be worth taking the risk of losing money to acquire these customers up front. But if you think long term, what's the end game? You want better customers that come back and buy over and over again without having to twist their arm to buy at a discount. So I think if you can find out what your highest lifetime valued products are and push those at a discount, especially during the holiday season, it should really help you guys.
Yeah, and on Lindsay's note, to kind of provide a real life example, I work with a lot of companies that sell like CBD products, the marijuana without the THC in it, I guess. But anyway, one of the things that they're considering is, think about it. You have these new customers and you get one shot at getting them to stick around. Yeah. So what these CBD companies do, they sell like gummies and stuff, is they want to know, what do my highest paying customers have the taste for? The lemon flavored, the lime flavored, the blueberry flavored. Where, you might see that the flavor that moves the most might be the lemon flavored, but then to Lindsay's point, you might see that your highest paying customers actually like the lime. And so you get one shot, right? You're not going to push the lemon flavored only for them to buy it once and never come back. What you want to do is push the lime flavored, come out swinging with what your highest paying customers like the most, so that the upsell to those customers long-term occurs and your profits are maxed. But I'm just repeating that.
Cool.
All On a similar note, how often over the course of the holiday season should you change up your discounts and offers or your promoted products?
Yeah, that's a good one. You guys?
Well, I'll share a little bit more into this later, but I bought a pair of boots today, and it was the same coupon code that was last year. And I used it, but I was thinking in my head, like, it'd be nice if they maybe switched it up a little bit. Maybe instead of the 10% off, maybe 15, 20%, more. But yeah, I recommend switching it up just so that code's not out there and it makes it more of a unique use each time someone's shopping with it.
Yeah, I think to Chris's point in terms of using discount codes strategically, in terms of like frequency, I look at your lapse point. In Glew, lapse point is the average distance between your repeat purchases. Now, your lapse point is your own lapse point. You have to sign up for Glew in order to learn what yours is. But I would use that as what I would call a guiding light to think about how frequently or how infrequently to create discounts. So, for example, let's say I'm selling high-end electronics, all right? The average distance between your repeat purchases is probably going to be very high. We're talking hundreds of days, which means that you can expect less frequent purchases during those, during the holiday season. They're probably going to buy once and never come back. So for someone like that, your lapse point's relatively long. You're probably going to want to pick one, maybe two discount codes in the holiday season that you want to stick with them. Whereas let's say you are selling food. Maybe I'm selling chocolate for the holidays. Well, chances are if I buy chocolate from my wife during the holidays, I'm probably going to eat the whole box myself and be like, oops, got to go back and buy her more chocolate. Otherwise, I have no gift to give her for Christmas, right? And when you come up with another coupon code and keep things dynamic, you're going to be able to squeeze more juice out of the fruit for a company whose lapse point is much, much smaller. For me, I think a lot of e-commerce clients, if you can get people to spoil themselves at the same time that they're buying gifts, that's a really great way to increase average order value. And by getting those discount codes maybe a little bit more frequent than you're used to is a good way to do that.
I like that. It's like the treat yourself
Right.
strategy. Cool. So switching over to customers, your mix of customers tends to shift during the holidays. You might get like an influx of new customers that looks nothing like your usual demographic, like you were talking about. First, what's the best way to segment those holiday shoppers out so they don't kind of skew the rest of your reporting? And second, what can you do to turn those first time or holiday only buyers into repeat purchasers?
We have covered a little bit of this. I'd first go back to what I mentioned about your highest lifetime value products. So figuring out what those products are and presenting those to them will definitely help. But in Glew, maybe Chris can speak to this. If anytime I'm building out cohorts for my clients and we're having these conversations, we'll look at any of our customers who've only ordered one time. And I think that's similar 365. It applies, but if we just honed into customers that we acquired last holiday season, so create that small cohort, then look at people who've only still ordered once. That one-time order was only last holiday season, and then going into their profiles, seeing what channels they came in through, what products they purchased. I actually did this for a client of mine, Key2 Life, the other day, trying to figure out with this upcoming holiday season what their average relationship length was per SKU. And so it was pretty cool. We found out, if anyone cares, it's the super espresso mocha flavored that's combined with their super creamer. Seems to get people to stick around much longer. But I think all of those insights are so helpful in Glew from the lifetime value perspective. I'd say the lapse point too. What you mentioned about, I think we had an example. You work with Fry Boots or I forget what story we were talking about this the other day with your lapse point, but.
Yeah, I would say segmenting out that specific time period. And also when you click into products, seeing all the customers that have only bought one time, there's some really good metrics, lifetime value when you click into a product. If you scroll all the way to the bottom inside of Glew, that shows a particular time period, someone that ordered that one product, but maybe they have no other orders with the store. So a good opportunity to know what they bought, to maybe offer them that same product and come up with some clever messaging. It's okay to say, hey, I know you bought this, last year. maybe, consider it for yourself again, or even for a friend if it makes sense.
Yeah. And to get even more granular, because we're talking about what Lindsay said and what Chris said, holiday season shoppers. So for the Glew users out there, you look at, November to December, orders equals 1 of what last year, right? But and you can target those people and treat them as gifters. But to get even more further into it, let's say that you look at free shipping. When would I offer free shipping in order to move the needle? What if it's December 21st and I go into December 21st of 2018, right? It's 2019, by the way, for those who are watching this years from now. I look at last year and I say, I have a one purchase customer who bought 3 days before the holiday season. What if I targeted those people right before Christmas and said, hey, free shipping. I know you're a last minute purchaser because you bought last year last minute. I'm sure you're doing it again because I'm doing it too. Here's free shipping on the house just because I know who you are.
Yeah, exactly. And it's about treating those customers different. They're going to think, wow, that's crazy that the store even, knows that they're treating me differently. And if I got that email, I would be like, you're right. And you're funny. And I want to buy from you again.
And I already bought all my gifts and it's time to treat myself. So I might just buy something for myself because I got the free shipping. Again, I'll keep peppering that in there because that's a great way to boost AOV.
I like it.
Cool. We just got into this a little bit, but what are some of the other key customer segments you should be targeting over the holidays? We have some great pre-built ones in Glew, but are there any, other custom ones that users can build specific to the holidays?
Yeah, we do have some great pre-built. We call them predefined inside of Glew. Top of the mind ones, value shoppers. Those are people that have only ever ordered from your store with a coupon code. Definitely would want to recommend letting them know in the subject line of the email that there is a coupon code in the email because they only buy, with the discount code. There is VIP customers, your top 10% revenue drivers. That's great if maybe you don't want to think and you just want to shoot that segment over to your email tool. But I like to take it maybe a little more granular and do some custom ones. So you could go with people that maybe ordered 2 or 3 times with the store, have spent $1,000, and maybe people that have never got a refund with the store would be a good idea as well. But really trying to jack up that lifetime value really high. And then the biggest thing I think is letting them know that they are actually a VIP customer of the store. So they're not going to get the standard, 15, 20% discount code with the store. It might be a good idea to push that segment over now or to email those people and letting them know as their email inboxes get flooded over the next few weeks that there's actually something coming for them because they are a VIP customer of the store. Be on the lookout for it. And I would really recommend maybe giving them something outside of your comfort zone, maybe a 40% discount code. Maybe they'll buy a gift for their brother-in-law when they normally maybe would only buy one gift. So treating those customers definitely differently is something you can do with the custom segments. We already hit on this a little bit, but a time specific of a cohort of customers that have only bought in the holiday season, that have bought one time, definitely recommend doing that with the custom segments as well.
Yeah, I think one thing that I hope doesn't get lost in talking about segments, because in the data world, you can get super into the numbers with forgetting about actually what's going to drive your business the most, which is actually the client experience, right? So, it's very easy to be a merchant and to think about what's in it for me. How can I get people to buy more from me, et cetera. But if you're able to invert that briefly and to maybe, to Chris's point, maybe I do have a segment of people where they have spent an X amount with me over the past year, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in a pair of boots, right? Chris is apparently a big boot guy.
I should be a VIP customer, but they have not let me know.
Right, and I literally, no, but in all seriousness, we're sitting here and Chris is sitting here disappointed. And think about if we could communicate to this boot company that one of the people who have spent so much money with them over the past year is sitting here feeling bad about himself. Not like you're feeling bad about yourself, but in all honesty, maybe something like, if I have a set of people who have spent more than X amount with me over the year, I write them a handwritten note. I mean, how many people could that be dropping more than $4,000 a year on boots who are dudes? Probably 100 people, but you might make a customer for life and he might actually say, hey, I feel good. This experience has been exceptional. They recognize me, and he might just go ahead and run his credit card a 7th time. So don't forget about the client experience side of it. The customer segments and the data are great, but it's about making our clients feel good and building that loyalty, which shouldn't get lost in translation.
And I definitely paid for expedited shipping. I did not get free shipping either. But I got the standard 10% code that they always have.
Treated just like any other customer.
Yes. I was told I was a VIP the other day. It was like VIP point of view is their request to be pulled about what us as a customer wants to get from a loyalty perspective. And I almost was like, ooh, they caught me. This is embarrassing. I've spent a lot of money with this store, and now I'm like, oh, I have to live up to the expectations. Like holiday season, I normally buy a bunch of bags from them. Maybe I should treat myself. It works. So there's something to it.
And you don't have to call it VIP. I work with a baseball company, and they call it the MVP like club. So it could be literally your own type, and you can get really custom with it, especially using the Glew data. So if you need any help with any custom segments, let us know.
Keith in there says, I want to see those boots. So we may have to follow up with a picture in the follow-up email that we send.
Definitely.
Awesome. So what are some of the, and we may have touched on this too, but what are some of the most interesting and or successful things you guys have personally seen merchants you work with do around the holidays, whether that's creative marketing campaigns, innovative reports that they've created in Glew, or something else entirely?
One of the ones I've seen is actually segmenting people by where they live. So their actual location. So letting them know like, hey, throwing in some type of messaging of where they're located. Lindsay, you kind of hit on this earlier when you're talking about the reporting of this time of year, our discount code reporting. The company I work with, they had a coupon code that was like November 30th, December 30th, and they were trying to track, which one, is going to be doing better. And they went off last year's data and then this year's data. But the coupon code reporting is a good one that you can easily do in Glew.
Yeah. On that note too, you're probably going to want to look at your the campaigns that you ran last year in the holidays to take a look at the lifetime value of the people who converted first off of those campaigns, because that would clearly distinguish what campaigns are great at getting people who treat themselves versus what campaigns are great at just getting people to buy gifts for their family. So, that's talking about attribution, which is a real pain in the butt if you don't know what you're doing. But if I had to pick one besides the one that Chris just did, it would definitely be repeating the campaigns that got me the highest, best customer last year, again this year.
Yeah, I think trying to figure out where to spend the money. Is it Google Ads, Facebook, Instagram, looking at the same period, probably last 365 in a wide view, and then even looking at last year during this time frame and seeing, hey, should I dump money in this versus that?
Cool. What are some misconceptions that merchants tend to have around Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and the holiday season?
I would definitely say two things. The first one, everyone thinks that if they just discount, that they're just going to make a crap ton of money in the holidays. And you might make a lot of revenue, but you're going to destroy your margins, both short-term and definitely long-term if you do that. I think the inverse of that is when you talk about lapse point and how to treat customers and what that experience looks like, it's all about, look this way. Everyone wants to go straight to the at-risk customer and try to save them from churning. And by the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch all the other webinars we've done on lapse point. But the key in the most dark horse of your strategy is to nurture your active customers. The at-risk customer, the holiday season, all that stuff is a direct reflection of your ability to make sure that client experience is unbelievably amazing for that customer. People remember it. I remember I actually bought this watch, and when I got the watch, I didn't just get the watch. I got a hat, I got a koozie. I got a handwritten note from the CEO thanking me for my business. I mean, it made such an impression on me where I'm definitely going back to this company and I'm buying watches for my family, my father, other people who might be watching this. I'm not going to tell you. But what I'm trying to say is that if you think just discounting, if you think that people buy based on price, you're a third right. People buy mostly on the value and the experience that they're going to get from you, and that value and experience they want to share with their friends and their family, especially during the holidays.
One thing I would hit on is one misconception too, is that it's just such a short time frame to generate a lot of revenue, but it doesn't stop there. After you get someone to either give you their email address during this time period, maybe they don't even buy, maybe it's abandoned cart, going back and making sure that you follow up and really target those people that did purchase and then also maybe didn't purchase, to get them to repeat purchase or buy for the first time afterwards.
Cool. That's such a good point. What's your biggest piece of advice for merchants at this point in the season? So we're a week out from Black Friday, essentially a month out from Christmas. What can merchants be doing right now to ensure a successful holiday season?
I have a quick one, and this might just be a personal pet peeve, but it's so easy nowadays with tools like Glew to know how much a customer has spent with your store in a particular order in any given time. What bugs me is when I've gone and maybe Black Friday, I've spent a good chunk of change with a brand, and then the next day I wake up in my email inbox, I've got the same messaging as everybody else, and it's just, okay, but wait, there's more. Hey, additional discount code. Oh, now it's Cyber Monday. It's 35% off instead. I would at least like to be acknowledged for the purchase that I have made and maybe back off of the continuous promotional emails if you can, separate those customers that have spent money with you. And that's all about the lapse point. So if your lapse point window is typically 40 days, well, give your customers that same amount of time to get excited about the product they purchased. They're probably gifting it to someone. So there's even that additional aspect of anticipation. I hope they like it. I hope I like it. I hope it's what I thought it was. So not forgetting about the lapse point, to what Mark just said, I think it really does, from a customer standpoint and from a business standpoint, make them think that, hey, they're listening to me and they appreciate my order. I'm not just another number that happened on Black Friday. Anything? Creating
segments, custom segments, treating different customers differently. I just read that 14% of emails actually get opened during this time period, which is really low. But making sure you're messaging to your certain customers or people that you're trying to have become customers is clever. It's funny. It makes someone actually want to open it and buy with your store.
Cool. Good points. We're going to hit on our last question here. So if you guys have anything additional, feel free to pop it in the questions module or in the chat box, and we can hit on anything additional you guys have in our last couple of minutes. But last question here. After Black Friday next week and throughout the rest of the holiday season, what should merchants be looking at to understand their performance and strategize, kind of in real time?
I got this question actually the other day from merchants that are just starting out. So they're like, I've got Glew, feel like I know my numbers, but I've never really experienced this whole Black Friday, Cyber Monday rush. And we haven't really talked about it a lot today, and I'm kind of surprised, but the lifetime value profitability by channel chart is probably one of our more famous tables, how it pulls in all of your advertising channels, which is the medium and GA, the new and repeat customers, totaling up your ad spend, and being able to literally go in the day of Black Friday and rank all of the campaigns that you're running at the same time by lifetime value. Make those tweaks. You still have a couple weeks in between Black Friday and Christmas for those last minute guys. So I think you can definitely use that lifetime value performance table to make any final adjustments you need to. That's one thing I would say.
I like that one. I think another one would be you want to it's what I call the one discount, one order customer segment to value shopper segment ratio. and hear me out. You typically have a goal or a purpose for your discount, like a very specific one. By the way, you don't have a purpose for a discount, then please don't discount, because you're just going to destroy your margins. But a lot of times people will offer a discount, kind of like with Chris's boot example, where let's say I'm buying for the first time and I'm going to give you 10 or 15% off on that first purchase in the hope that you get the product, enjoy it so much that you come back and buy it full price. You want to compare your one purchase, one discounters and how much revenue you're pulling from them. You want to see what amount of that revenue takes up from all the people who only buy at a discount, right? Because if that grows during the holiday season, you know that you now have a bunch of people that bought it once at a discount that you might want to retarget and get to buy it full price in Q1. Or if it's getting super big, super low, I guess what I'm trying to say is that you can consult with your Glew representative, but that ratio will tell you volumes about your business and if your goal is actually being achieved or not, based on obviously what you're selling and how you're selling it. Something to think about.
Yeah. Another thing is you can track your revenue in Glew by actually time of day. So if you're really trying to see what you guys are bringing in as far as like revenue, maybe setting up some automated reports to come to you that you really show your revenue by like hours. Just kind of fun to watch that way.
That's actually pretty cool. And the more for the companies have more than $1 million in sales, we actually see on their like time they buy a nice smooth curve, which is really interesting to see how, in fact, people do actually buy from you at one time of day. But that's, I'm just repeating what you said.
Cool. Well, that's all we had for prepared questions. Do you guys have any last thoughts that we didn't get to touch on? We'll leave a couple minutes for questions if you guys have anything else. I know we have one in there, so I'll pull it up real quick. But any last thoughts?
No, good luck.
Have fun.
Cool. We've got one question in here. You often talk about finding the right customer. What's the best way, or are there right ways to find those using Glew?
Yeah, so the right customer is going to be the customers that have the tastes that make the upsell easier. So I always use the example of selling bikinis. You know, girls that live on the beach are going to be the right customer in contrast to, you know, guys that live in Kansas. You know, that's really easy. You're going to go to Glew, take your segments, whether they're the ones that are out of the box or the ones you've created, and you're going to rank your segments in order of lifetime value. Pull that CSV file and just do some simple analysis, right? Where do they convert first from? Where do they live? How much money do they spend with you? What do they buy? That's really, really easy to do, and it's all served to you on a silver platter in Glew.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We know this is a busy time of year, so we appreciate it. And thank you so much to our panel. There's so much e-commerce analytics expertise sitting right here at this table. This has been so awesome. Hope you guys got a lot out of it. We will be sending out a recording probably tomorrow, so keep your eyes open for that. And if you're not a Glew user, there's still plenty of time between now and the holiday rush to sign up for a trial. So go to our website, glew.io. It's super easy to sign up. Anything else?
Yeah, if you already are a Glew customer, maybe let one of your e-commerce friends know, go create a trial. We'll build them out a Glew metric review during the trial.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
We'll talk to you soon.